Welcome back, everybody, for another update from the Knothole Gang atop the Mickey and Friends parking structure, looking at the backside of Rise of the Resistance. And it's a beautiful, clear Saturday morning as we film this. And as has been the case, there isn't a lot of updates, although we can see progress being made on them closing up the backside. It looks like we're finally starting to see some actual rockwork-like stuff being added in there, but nothing over there. Let's go over here. Top of the Rise of Resistance building, and of course the news from last week was the idea, or what looked to be the beginnings of them starting to button up the backside of those blankets, the forced perspective rockwork that are providing gaps. And then you can see a constructionizer doing his thing as we speak. We'll stop here for a minute because we can see that this guy right here is actually, you can also see where they're starting to close that in, and it's the beginnings of seeing less light come through. And the object here, I'm hoping, or my understanding or my assumption, the object here is that to solve the gap problem, you just reduce the amount of light that goes through, and it creates just a darkened area as opposed to an unfinished area. So if you were to look at it, on close examination, you could see the gaps. But from a distance, from the rivers of America, that hopefully will be suitable, will be enough to solve the problem. So that's the progress there. Now, here's what it looked like last week. You can see they hadn't yet, seen any rockwork, and we're talking about this area right here, obviously. So that's last week, and we'll continue, And by the way, we're going to look at this further from the rivers of America to see what effect, if any, their work so far has had on that view. Now, as we continue our pan across the rivers, the Rise of Resistance building, I mentioned yesterday about the topic of conversation was, some possible demo coming to the Toy Story, the Toontown back lot, or the Toontown backstage areas. And although that's not pictured, I did say that I wanted to talk about its effect on Galaxy's Edge. The areas that we're talking about, you can't see, it's just behind those three forced perspective spires there. I don't want to spend too much time on that here because it's kind of its own topic, but if it's true, if they are doing some demo to the backstage areas of Toontown, and if it is indeed to bring in the new attraction, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it would put to rest at least one and possibly two possible areas of expansion for Galaxy's Edge. And that, I don't expect to see any anyway, Galaxy's Edge, for at least a few, 5 or 10 years perhaps. But one of the possible areas that people talked about was taking over, co-opting Toontown, all of it. But if they decide to bring in a new attraction, they wouldn't do both. They're not going to both bring in a new attraction to Toontown and then also make it subject to being taken over by Galaxy's Edge. They're making that decision today. For 10 years from now, their planning is definitely going that far ahead, and if not more. So whatever decisions they make are going to be lasting and permanent. Now, if that is the case, like I said, don't look for Galaxy's Edge to expand into Toontown. But I think it goes without saying that there probably will be an expansion of Galaxy's Edge at some point if it is as popular as everybody expects it to be, which would mean then the other backstage areas, the warehouses and the office buildings, perhaps, that are going to be the destination for Galaxy's Edge. So just putting that out there. And we'll continue to the rivers of America, where we're going to get our first observation on whether or not there's any effect what they're doing currently on the backside of Rise of Resistance, and if it's doing anything to close the gap. And the first thing that we have to do is first identify where those areas are that are being worked on presently. If we look at the backside of Rise of Resistance now, you can see that the area that they're working on is just under that rock formation there, that spire, that forced perspective spire, and probably to its right as we look at it now, or left as we look at it from the rivers of America. Again, our perspective here is skewered compared to how it is in the rivers of America. For example, that looks like a single formation of a spire, but when you look at it from the river, it's got that split appearance. And now I don't I'm pretty sure that's the same rock. I'm pretty sure that's the same, but I'm not positive. Everything else lines up in terms of, reference points. So I'm pretty sure that's it, and it's just a trick of the eye in terms of our perspective. Now, having said that, if we go back to look at the river, the areas that we are seeing most typically when it comes to the gaps are to that rock's left as we view it from the rivers of America, or to its right as we view it from the backside of Rise of Resistance. So I would imagine it's this area right here that is our point of view. That's what we're looking at. So some of it has been covered by this new development, but some of it has not. Is that consistent with what we're seeing here? And I kind of think that that is consistent. Take a look there. You got sunlight here, but no sunlight there. Darkness and then light. Look at it compared to last week. And if we zoom in, you see all sunlight. I mean, there is that piece of rockwork there that splits it, but behind that is sunlight. Now, if we go back to today, present day, and we zoom in, darkness and then light. So there you go. That looks to me like pretty decent evidence that it's at least somewhat efficient. And when they finish it, when they do close up that whole strip there, I think you won't even realize that there's a gap. It'll be dark. It may not be rock, but at least be dark, and that darkness will go a long way to, removing that eye strain, that obvious gap when you look at it from the rivers of America. What do you guys think? That's at least efficient. That's got to be right. Am I right? Let us know. Leave us a comment. Let's continue. For whatever reason, I had just rediscovered that spire as having been completed. I'm always looking to the right when we make this turn around the river on the Mark Twain. I'm always looking over here. I'm never looking over there, so that was kind of neat to be able to say, hey, look, they finished that spire. YIB. Feels like that green tarp thing or whatever has been on that building for a very long time, doesn't it? You can see some framework over there. From this perspective, I haven't noticed a lot of progress on that building, but I'm sure it's advancing quickly on the ground. I just love this view right here. Matter of fact, next week I'm going to do an update on this. Give you a little teaser. That's what this thing looked like a year ago. That is almost exactly 1 year ago. So I think next week I want to do a little time lapse on that particular dome structure, because it's fun to watch these things evolve over time and see how some of the nuances, some of the detail that they put in there over time. You can't always tell. It's like as things evolve slowly, you kind of don't notice those changes. I'm really digging the way that those three spires have turned out and how they look. I think I mentioned that last week, how they look, from this view. Here it is. I'm trying to again peek through that little area right there. And that tiny little dome structure coming into view. Oh no, that's not the dome. That's the building I'm trying to see. The dome is coming up in the next clip. There's another right there. That is going to get solved soon. That issue. I just hope we haven't overreacted. I mean, that's what we do. We analyze things to the nth degree as they happen. Sometimes we forget the big picture, that it takes time for all this stuff to come together. So hopefully, I want to believe that was always the plan, and we're just being, hyper nerds about, how things are coming. There's the little dome structure that I was talking about. Because, we are all subject to being hyper nerds from time to time. I know I get some rather detailed commentary or, criticisms. Anyway, there you go. Definite work being done there to solve that issue. And again, I think all it comes down to is just removing the light from the situation, so it's not as obvious. This is going to be a beautiful place, you guys. No doubt about it. I mean, so much of what we're looking at now is done, and you know it's done because of the lack of scaffolding. I understand you can put it back up, but if you still have work to do, you wouldn't take it down. If they take down the scaffolding, that usually means they're at least, they think they're done. I would think. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week for the Knothole Gang. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned next week for more. And don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to watch all of our trip reports and other fine things that we do on this channel. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Respect. We've got lots more videos for you to see, so grab a churro and check out some of our other videos and have your mind blown by how much fun we're having. We truly are the best of Disney Bake Fresh Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time. Fresh Baked!